development both at the micro and the macro level. You know the meanings of these two terms, micro and macro. Micro means which concentrate only on individual farmers or the individual farm firm or what you call the small entity, whereas macro level means for the country as a whole or at the aggregate level. Thus, this agriculture finance concerned with purveying the requisite, that means the what you call the needed finance to all farmers so as to stimulate and enhance the productivity of the farm resources, because capital is not only productive but it helps to make other factors of production be productive. So it is going to have that vital and catalytic role in agro socio-economic development. Thus, this agriculture finance can be approached from both the angle, that is at the micro level and at the macro level. So micro level means wherein we are thinking of the requirement of the individual farm business unit and how the individual farmer considers the various sources of credit, what is the total requirement of his credit for to be borrowed from different sources, and how he is going to allocate this among the different competing alternatives that he is facing. So in addition, it is also concerned with the future use of funds, so that because people will always having in their mind so as to save something out of their what you call the income for the future, so as to meet any kind of uncertainty or the what you call the risk, because they cannot be predicted with certain degree of probability. And when it comes to the macro level approach to this study of agriculture finances, deals with different sources of raising the funds for agriculture for the country as a whole or for the state as a whole, and also with different procedures, rules, regulations, and the what you call the monitoring and the controlling procedures of the practices adopted by the central bank of our country and the different institutions which are involving in lending loans to the farmers. So this we have studied, and also including the importance of agriculture finance. That is why there is a need for anyhow we are going to study again the need for agriculture finance later, but the availability of this finance will definitely going to help to a greater extent this farm sector. So that can be viewed from these different angles. First one is it is going to assume that vital role and importance in agro socio-economic development. That means whenever farmers are being supplied with the what you call the requisite or the needed amount of capital, they can think of undertaking their choice activity. So it would lead to what you call the development of the agriculture sector, as well as their status in the society, as well as the economic development. Just maybe somebody is waiting. I will admit them. No, they are not waiting persons. Point which helps to understand the importance of agriculture finance. Next one is, as I repeatedly mentioning, it is going to play that catalytic role. You know the meaning of that catalysis in any science course or in your +2 that is a pre-university course in the chemistry class. That is like that the finance or the funds are going to play that catalytic role in improving or augmenting the productivity of other resources, because say the usage of new seeds combined with the purchase inputs results definitely in higher level of productivity of other resources including the land. Then it is also going to ascertain the needed assets and the farm supporting infrastructure, so that none of the farm activities can be hampered, and it is going to bridge the gap between what you call the regions which are considered to be underdeveloped in relation to some what you call the developed regions. So it is going to curb that gap between the regional economic imbalances existed in the economy. And all of us know that still Indian agriculture is somewhat considered to be traditional, subsistence in nature, and stagnant. So traditional means whatever may be the efforts being made by the extension personnel of the government or the universities, but still many of the farmers, they are not so easily what you call departing from their what you call the traditional approach. The subsistence nature means that is they are growing only for their family requirement and they are not targeting for the market. Not all, but only few farmers. And stagnant in nature means most of the crops have reached their plateau, the maximum productivity that could be realized from the different varieties of the crops. That is why this agriculture finance is needed to create that additional supporting infrastructure for the adoption of these new technologies which are capital intensive. That means they need more of what you call the capital in relation to the labor, and the massive investment is needed definitely to carry out major and minor irrigation project, rural electrification, energization, installation of fertilizer and chemical plants, so that they can be undertake the timely manufacturing and the distribution of the different needed fertilizers and the chemicals, and also execution of the agriculture programs and poverty alleviation programs in the country are made possible only with what we call the timely supply of the agricultural finance. Then we shall move on to the need for agriculture finance, especially from the context of India, who can visualize the different basis or the criterion on which there is definitely need for the what we call the timely assistance of funds at affordable rate of interest on time and in what we call the sufficient quantity. So the first point is, due to very low amount of own savings and capital to invest in agriculture, there is definitely need for what we call extension of financial assistance to the farmers, because most of them, they are small and marginal. So because of the small and marginal holding, their total production will be less. So because of the less total production, there will be less marketable surplus. So because of less marketable surplus means that is the quantity actually made available to the non-farming population, or actually available for what you call the non-farming community. So out of which these farmers are going to earn their income. So because of that low marketable surplus on account of low production, on account of low size of holding, they are going to earn less. So because of less earnings or less income, their savings will be low. Hence, if there is need arises to invest on the farm, definitely there is a need for what you call the supply of loans. Second one is high proportion of family expenditure. Hence, the purchase of off-farm inputs is going to suffer to a greater extent. You may be observing that is year by year, because of this lot of uncertainties and the uncertainty in the production prices and income of the farmers. But simultaneously, because of the increase in the prices of other consumable goods or the family living expenditure, farmers are left with again less what you call money to invest. So because of this increasing or high proportion of the family expenditure in the total what you call the expenditure by the farming community, there is a need for what we call agriculture finance. Then next one is tiny holdings, we have discussed with, coupled with growing of food crops on subsistence nature leads to smaller marketable surplus. Thus risk averting nature, that means they are avoiding the risk. They are not ready to take some new enterprise or the varieties on their farm. So they are going to face that inability to offer security and more demand for the consumption credit. There is a need for finance. So this is how again there is a need for finance on account of their very basic characteristic feature of the small size of the land holding. Then non-equity capital. That means equity means owned capital, non-equity means borrowed capital. So non-equity capital means again borrowed capital assumes more importance in providing needed liquidity to have access to the farm resources. So liquidity. So you may be aware the general meaning of liquid, that is solid, liquid and gaseous. But in economics, liquidity refers to the speed with which anything can be converted into cash. ಸೊ ಹಣದ ರೂಪಾಂತರಗೊಳಿಸಲು ಒಂದು ಏನು ಸಮಯ ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡಿಟಿ ಅಂತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈಗ ದೈನಂದಿನ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ದೇ ನೀಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈ whenever they are having this accessibility to the financial institutions, they will be what you call being helped by this what you call the borrowing. So that is why to provide that needed liquidity to access the different resources, because nowadays most of the inputs, they are off farm inputs. Farmers, they are not using their own seeds, or because of the non-rearing of the large number of livestock, they are also not applying farm and manure though, so they depend upon chemical fertilizers, and also more infestation of the pest and diseases, they need to purchase again plant protection chemicals. Thus, so as to meet all these and also to make timely payment for the labor wages being employed in performing different operations, there is a need for what we call the borrowed capital. Then the next point is credit itself is not an income. So sala idu adaya alla, but saladinda you can earn the income. So credit itself is not an income, but it leads to acquire the income by investing in opportunities otherwise ended up in what you call the additional consumption. ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಅದನ್ನ ಸಾಲ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಕಾಲ್ leading to trouble with respect to the borrower as well as the lending institutions with respect to the recovery of the loan. That is why we have to be very careful in borrowing the loan and its proper utilization. Next point is it acts as a lever for development. Lever means you can consider as human lever or a lever, anything which guides in the proper direction for the different vehicles or the machines. So for developmental vehicle, that is for the economy needs to develop, isn't it? So for that, this agriculture finance is going to act as a lever so that it can direct in a proper what you call the way. So it expended in the interest of the farmers who comes again and again and not one time activity. Because ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮರೆಯಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ it is going to harm both the lending institution as well as the borrower. Because next time whenever he approaches, they will not lend loan or advance loan to him because he already a defaulter, because he has not repaid the loan. Then next point is credit is also needed for a repayment of the old debts. Then you may ask me a question, okay sir, ಹೋದ ವರ್ಷ ಸಾಲನ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ತೀರ್ಸೋದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಬಟ್ for how many time? But this is also possible only when the farm sector is going to be faced any kind of what you call some natural calamities, or whenever farmers are borrowed loans from the money lenders who are charging very very high rate of interest. So in such cases definitely there is also provision for the farmers to borrow the loans to repay any of the old debts. Debts means here DBTS. DBT debt means the loan or the borrowing or the credit. Then the next one is expenditure on social customs, litigation, marriages, etc., etc. That means here, no doubt, he has to meet, or the lending institutions are going to give loans only for performing the agriculture operations. But simultaneously, if they would also take care of the social expenses like that of marriages or some festivals, etc., etc., because nobody will keep mum or quiet whenever other people are celebrating these festivals, isn't it? Because they do also need to involve in such activities so as to refresh their mind and so as to rejoice it, and also again come back and perform their what you call the drudgery or the heavy operations on the farm, what you call the business. Next one is credit is also needed for consumption purposes under adverse conditions. As I just now mentioned, whenever the farming is going to face any kind of the natural calamities and uncertainties like droughts, floods, etc., etc., in that case farmers is unable to grow any single crop, or any crop is not going to realize any output or the income from this farm business because of these uncertainties. In that case definitely these financial institutions will come forward to extend the financial assistance, and they may also waive off the interest in generally, and in some cases so as to get the popularity, the ruling government may also what you call the loan waiver scheme may be implemented. So this is how there is a what you call, there are different reasons to supply loans to the farming community, which have been listed in what you call the need for agriculture finance. I am going to repeat it in one minute. So it is mainly because of the lower own savings by the small Indian farmers and high family expenditure, small size of the land holding, and this non-equity capital is going to provide that needed liquidity to perform other operations, and it is going to help to earn the income, and it acts as a lever for development, and also facilitate the farmers to repay some of the old debts for some valid reasons which have been not repaid. And also sometimes it is going to help to meet the expenditure towards social custom or the litigations, marriage expenses, and it is also needed for what we call meeting the consumption expenditure of the farm family. I think these two are very, very important. That is, you have to remember what is importance and need of agriculture finance. So in many years question papers you will go through, either of one is definitely there for at least 2 marks, if not for 5 marks. Okay, then we shall move on to the next concept, that is farm financial management. So first two terms by this time you are clear. Farm means any piece of land where crops and livestock enterprise are taken up. Finance means something related to money. Then management. Management is most general term. You are already what you call know about it. So management is nothing but it is an art of getting things done through the efforts of others. Isn't it? So when it comes to this, as I mentioned, it is an universal phenomenon. Wherever or whatever the sector you go, there you find the presence or the involvement or the need for the management. So then finance being the most scarce resource, then its management is also equally important. So we shall pay some attention towards this firm financial management. So here the person who manages that any activity is called a manager, and a person who manages the finance is called as firm financial manager. So he always aims at acquiring, using and protecting the credit needed for his business. So firm financial management mainly deals with capital acquisition and its use. Acquisition ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ವಿನಿಯೋಗ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. So the acquisition and use of credit in agriculture is called the shortest definition. The acquisition and use of credit funds in agriculture is called as agriculture finance. Hence, this farm management and financial management are synonymous sometimes, according to Nelson et al. That is, both will be in what you call broader sense can be used synonymously, but they do differ to a greater extent because farm management is a more broader term and farm financial management is only a part of it. Okay, now coming to the different decisions, because as a manager he has to take numerous decisions, because generally manager needs to perform different functions like so there is an acronym called PODSCORB. PODSCORB. PODSCORB means it is an acronym to indicate different functions of management. So each letter corresponds to the different functions or the activities. Like that of first P. P refers to planning. So planning is the first and foremost important activity to be performed by managers, because without planning there is nothing to do, isn't it? So planning precedes all other functions of management. Then O, organization. He has to organize the different activities relating to his business. Then D, direction. He has to direct them in a proper way. Proper direction is needed on part of the manager to get the things done. Then yes, that is staffing. That is, he cannot perform all the activities. He has to recruit, he has to appoint different people so as to perform different activities concerning with his what you call that business. So staffing. Then controlling. He has to control them, maybe by laying down some standards or what you call stipulating the time period or timing or allotting the activities. Like that he has to what you call the control. Then recruitment, staffing and recruitment, they both go together. Then last one is budgeting. Budgeting, that means estimating the cost and return. In addition to this, there are many other functions which the manager is expected to do, but we are not going to deal in detail as the course advances and in some other courses also we are going to study, like communication, motivation, etc., etc. There are different functions to be performed by the manager. But here, with respect to the farm financial management, he has to make numerous decisions. So let us look at those 5 major farm financial decisions. So hence in running the farm business, manager has to take numerous decisions which have been listed below. Once the decision has been taken up to solve a problem, farmer cannot remain complacent for the decision. The problems are cyclical in nature. That is, time and again they are going to come, because there is nothing like a problem without a solution, or every problem will be having a solution, but we have to have that cool what you call the approach so as to analyze critically the things and find out the solution, because problem without a solution is not a problem. There is nothing like no solution for any of the problems, but only thing how we are going to approach to it. So hence here he has to what you call by trying different things, find out the solutions as and when they arises. So this shows how crucial are the decisions relating to the financial management. So there are 5 financial decisions. First one is with respect to the what is the quantum of credit needed and what are the different sources from which he can borrow, and he can also think of how he can allocate among the different competing things and how he can face the risk and uncertainty, and also problems are the decisions relating to the legal issues that may arise in what you call the farm financial management. So there are five. They are, first one is what is the total amount of capital required. Second one is what are the different sources, and third one is how he can allocate among the different alternatives. Next one is decision relating to risk and uncertainty, because there is no business which is free from risk. The business means here agriculture is also a business nowadays. It is not a way of life, or it is not a subsistence nature. Farmers, they are not practicing it on subsistence, what you call the levels. They are treating it as a business. So the decision, fourth type of the decisions, farm financial decisions, are decisions relating to mitigate the risk and uncertainties. And last category of the farm financial decisions are relating to the legal issues. Now let us take one by one. First one is decisions regarding requisite capital. So all of you know that rationality is most important assumption in the social science, isn't it? So rationality means he's well informed, he's knowing what is happening in and around his surroundings, and he know well informed about the prices, the use of different things, and he is also aware about how much of money he is having with him and what how much he needs to purchase, like that. So here any rational producer under the situation of unlimited capital, that means let us assume he's having sufficient amount of the resources and the capital with him, then he needs to continue the production till the marginal cost or gets equated with the marginal returns. So in the first course only we have studied it, that is LDMR in production. This LDMR is nothing but it is a law of diminishing marginal returns, which states according to Marshall, there are four basic factors of production: land, labor, capital, and organization. So farmer is the organizer. So taking these what you call the factors of production and treating farmer as a manager, you can define this LDMR as labor and capital applied in the cultivation of the land causes in general less than proportionate increase in the output unless it happens to coincide with the improvement in the art of agriculture. That means here, unless we are going to adopt some new technologies, definitely sooner or later there will be diminishing returns sets in for every additional unit of input or the capital or the money or whatever the thing in the production process is going to increase. But however, under such situation, one can continue till marginal costs are just equal to the marginal returns. Once the marginal cost curve or the marginal cost is less than marginal returns, then there is a need to withdraw the expenditure or need to withdraw or apply the less quantity of the inputs in that production process, so as to optimize the production and return. Or in other words, to maximize the returns or to minimize the cost, one should continue the input application or the investment until MR equal to MC. So one has to increase the input application till this stage is reached. Otherwise, he will be losing the opportunity of getting returns than the cost incurred. So which relates to the operation of the farm business in the first stage of LDMR. That means he has to continue as long as MR is greater than MC. So there is a possibility of coming across this situation when the farmer is again operated under the capital constraint situation. So when the capital gap is made good through this borrowed capital, that is, as I mentioned, they are capital starved. So whenever we are going to supply that needed capital, then he can continue the production even in the second stage where lies the optimality with respect to the production. So when the capital gap is made good through, andre avrige supply madadaga through this borrowed capital or the borrowed funds, farmer can afford to operate the farm business in the stage 2, which is considered as rational zone of production process. So if farmer is still ambitious of getting greater output and returns in the presence of abundant capital, which has been raised through borrowed from various sources, then he is going to enter into the third stage of diminishing returns and is going to incur the loss, because in that stage marginal product is negative. Even though the inputs are available at free of cost, but the total returns or the total output of the product is decreasing, there is no point in increasing the production or what you call making investment when that production process enters the third zone. That is why first zone and third zone, they are considered as irrational zone. First zone is irrational because if he stops input application in the first zone, he is foregoing the opportunity of getting more returns from the investment than the cost. That is, he is experiencing the increasing returns. He is getting more than what he is spending. And in the third zone, it is also irrational because even though inputs, let us assume at free of cost, but the total product is decreasing. But in reality, there is nothing like a free lunch, or none of the resources are available at free of cost. That is why only second zone is considered as the rational zone, where lies the optimality with respect to the output as well as input. Input you can treat here as the funds or the capital. So where MR equal to MC. MC is here the cost of capital or rate of interest, and MR is revenue realized from 1 unit of output. Okay. Thus here you can look at this small paragraph which will make you further clear about what we call deciding the requisite amount of capital. So here, literature has amply revealed that pattern of overuse of fertilizers and pesticide by the farmers through borrowed funds, and the precarious situation of farmers in not being able to realize the adequate income for repayment of the credit. ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆದಾಯ ಗಳಿಸೋಣ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ರೈತರು? ದೇ ಆರ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಮೋರ್ ದನ್ ದ ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಡೋಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್. ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೆಸೆಸರಿಲಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ the marginal product of that input is decreasing whenever he operates in the third zone. So instead of that, he would have been stopped in the second zone. But with too enthusiastic approach, they applied or spent more on these inputs unnecessarily, and they ended up in losses, and they are unable to make the repayment of the loan on time. Okay. So under such conditions, the farmer attains the status of being stamped as a defaulter, and his creditworthiness is lost in view of the banker, and he confronts still more problems in securing funds from the non-institutional agencies. So later, when we take up that credit classification, we are going to study in detail about what are institutional agencies and non-institutional agencies, along with their advantages and disadvantages later as the course advances. But here, the first farm financial decisions, what we have discussed is deciding what is the optimum quantity or the requisite amount of capital to be borrowed. The first decision is decisions regarding the requisite capital. Second one is decisions regarding sources of capital. As I mentioned, there are numerous sources. There are various sources, as I just mentioned, like institutional sources and non-institutional sources. So from which the farmer can raise the funds. So it is quite evident that non-institutional agency charges high rate of interest. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಳ್ಳಿಲಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಡೋರು ಕೇಳಿರ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ ನೀವು. ಸೊ ಮಂತ್ಲಿ 3%, 5%, 10% ವರೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆನ್ಯುವಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 3%, 7%, 10% ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನಲ್ ಏಜೆನ್ಸಿಯಿಂದ ಸಾಲ ಸಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ 12 times higher rate of interest is being charged by this, what you call the financial non-institutional financial institutions or the agencies like money lenders. But these days, with the expansion of wide network of the institutional agencies like commercial banks, private sector banks, the cooperatives, regional rural banks, and the branches of NABARD, etc., etc. And also, you need to keep in mind, NABARD won't directly advance loans to the individual farmers. Only in exception cases, they are going to advance, but they are going to refinance. That means, ಯಾರು ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. That means these institutions which have been given loans to the farming community, they can get it again refinanced from the NABARD. NABARD is a apex level institution with respect to the financing agriculture, whereas RBI is for all the sectors. Now the pertinent question is that among the institutional agency, which is the best source that the farmer should opt for? So choosing a given financing agency basically depends upon two major criteria. First one is cost of credit, that is, it should be low or affordable, that is, rate of interest should be as far as possible less. And the second one is timeliness. No doubt they may be giving at the low rate of interest, and they may be giving lot amount of money or the large amount of money, but they are not providing it on time, because everything can wait, but not the agriculture, isn't it? So ಏನನ್ನಾದ್ರೂ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. Even under this very highly difficult situation of COVID, farming has continued and fed the millions of people in the country and across the globe, isn't it? That is why Here, the timeliness and the cost of credit are the two important criterion to make a choice among the different institutional agencies. So the timeliness should be treated from the angle of, say, they should be disbursed, distributed, given, sanctioned in time. If not, its productivity will be lost, as farmers may fail to take up the farm practices as per the time schedule. So you may be aware that even a delay in sowing, or even a delay by a day in controlling the pest and disease, or in weeding, definitely going to what you call adversely affect the final output to be realized from that piece supplied. So keeping these two factors in view, farmers has to choose an appropriate agency. So we have discussed about two farm financial decisions. First one is what is the amount to be borrowed, and second one is from whom to be borrowed. So amount to be borrowed depends upon MRMC criterion, or following the LDMR, whereas the agency to be chosen depends upon the cost of credit and the timeliness. Then the third one is the decision regarding allocation of the capital, because everybody is having freedom to take or produce or cultivate whatever the commodity or the crop he can think to undertake. So everybody is having that freedom. So they are facing number of alternatives to be chosen for investing his borrowed capital. So farmers, for maximizing the profit, especially under the limited capital situation, they can follow another principle in economics called the law of equimarginal returns. So he may allocate the resources to those enterprises which bring revenue in same year, or he can give weightage to the idea of investing funds on long-term enterprise like some orchards, sorry, or some dairy enterprise, poultry enterprise, like that. So investment may be long term or short term. So depending upon the capability, the managerial ability, and the availability of the funds, he has to make the choice among the different alternatives. Again, with respect to the annual crops, he can think of whether to go for cereals, pulses, oil seeds, or commercial crops, or the fruits and vegetables, etc., etc. So in the case of first case of using limited capital, farmers gets maximum income where MR equal to MC, that you have seen. Secondly, for the long-term investment of capital or the resources which are limited, which may bring returns in future, say let us assume after 2 to 3 years, or even more than that, because some of the enterprise they do need about 4 to 5 years to give the first income from the investment. So in that case, the analysis of time value of money serves as a basis for decision making. So he has to use the compounding and discounting techniques in assessing the profitability, that you are going to study in detail about those techniques in this course, and the allocation decisions guiding in obtaining the greatest profit under the limited capital situation are more common in Indian agriculture, because they are not having sufficient amount for the investment capacity. So these are the first three decisions, that is requisite capital, source of capital, and the allocation among different alternatives. Then the next one is decisions to counter risk and uncertainties. As I mentioned, there is no business which is free from risk, and agriculture is not an exception to it. So no enterprise is free from risk and uncertainty. But by adopting certain following possible and practicable strategies, farmer can offset the possible losses associated with the farm business. First one is going for diversification, that is enterprise diversification. Choice should be made on enterprise with the minimum variability in yields and prices, which is safe, than with the higher income but with more yield and price instability. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ say cereals, they are most stable and prices are also not so widely fluctuating, whereas some fruits and vegetables or the flower crops, no doubt they are giving you higher income, but their prices and the income and the yield levels, in fact also they are going to vary to a greater extent. So that is why, to come out of such what you call the adverse situations, instead of just putting all eggs in a single basket, he has to go for that diversification of the enterprise. So if one enterprise fails, there is another enterprise to safeguard the interest of the farmer. So he has to go for diversified cropping pattern. Next one is flexibility. As I mentioned, any production activity should start with a proper planning, but planning is somewhat rigid. But here the point what I want to impress you people is that the planning should be somewhat flexible. In the sense, this crop planning, whatever he is going to have in his mind, because most of them are related, they may not be having the what you call the written farm plan. So ಈ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು, ಆ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಹೊರತು ಅವರೇನು they will not be having any what you call the written farm plan. So this crop planning should have the ways for flexibility depending upon the need in the sense, maybe looking to the trends in the market, at the price or the processing possibility or the export orientation, etc. So if it warrants any changes, farmers should be in a position to prepare to adopt such what you call the changing situations or the scenarios. So flexibility is also equally important to counter any kind of the risk and uncertainty that the farm business is facing. Next one is insurance. So definite device for the bad time, isn't it? So insurance is a very good device or the tool to meet the bad time. So everyone should invariably opt for it, since it pulls out them out of the wood at least to certain extent. No doubt 100% ನೀವೇನು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಆದಾಯ ಬರದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ನೀವು ಸಫರ್ ಆದಾಗ, ಮಳೆ ಬರದೇ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ಲಡ್ ಬಂದು ಬೆಳೆ ಹಾಳಾದಾಗ, if farmers have insured their crop or gone for this crop insurance, definitely the compensation what these companies, the government is going to pay them will help to safeguard their interest and stabilize the income. You are going to study in detail about the evolution, history, and the current schemes on this crop insurance as the course advances. But kindly remember, insurance is another important measure that farmers can think of to adopt different kinds of the risk and uncertainties that the farm business is facing. However, it is available only for the institutional borrowers. So there is a need on part of the government for evolving procedure to benefit all the farmers in general. For that, already the step has been taken. Even the non-loany farmers are also can also enroll themselves to avail the facility of this crop insurance by paying the insurance premium, which will be every year at 2 points of time, separately for the Kharif season and separately for the Rabi season. They are going to give you the dates. Before that date, for if farmers pay the insurance premium, then if crop fails, if the farmers are unable to realize any income from the production of these crops, they are going to be paid the compensation depending upon the indemnity level and the average yield that is being prevalent in that particular area. Then next one is, you might have heard about the contract farming, ಒಪ್ಪಂದ ಕೃಷಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿರ್ಬೋದಲ್ವಾ. So a forward marketing contract provides means for the sellers and buyers to exchange a commodity for an accepted price. That means here they are going to make into an agreement online platform, especially for the futures trading. They are going to buy and sell online. Let's say I may be entering into contact with, say, firm B, that I'm going to supply you 100 quintals of ragi at 3,500 on September 30th. 3,500 on September 30th. Then that agreement is going to take place online. But on September 31st, if I am unable to supply it, then I can, at that point of time, on the spot market or actual market, looking to the price of the ragi, if it is prevailing at 3,000, then definitely I may procure it from the market and supply if he wants. Or if you don't want the commodity, then the difference amount of 500 rupees per quintal that he can send to me. So depending upon what you call the understanding between what you call that person who buys and sells in the future market, they can what you call the rescue from what you call the price changes because of this forward trading. But similarly also in some of the crops you can see some agro-processing industries, they are coming forward and contracting with the farmers, like say some growing up some medicinal plants or the gherkins or the potato. So they are going to extend you all the supports like how to prepare the land, and they're going to supply you the needed inputs and also supervise the crop, and everything will be done by them, and everything will be done by the farmers under the supervision of these contracting farming parties, and they are going to leave the produce at the pre-agreed price between the farmer and the what do you call that company. So in this way, farmers are able to anticipate a price that protects him from the future decrease in the price. So here price risk can be avoided by entering into contact farming. The next one is production management. So selection of appropriate recommended package of practice is likely to put the farmers on a sound footing. ಅಲ್ವಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ ತರನಾದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಭೂಮಿ ಸಿದ್ಧತೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ತಳಿಗಳ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಪೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಹಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಡನ್ as per the recommended package of practices, then he will be doing right thing. By following the timely sowing of the required variety and quantity of the seeds, recommended dose of fertilizers application, preventive and curative plant protection chemicals, definitely if he adopts the proper production management, then he can, what you call, to some extent reduce the possible risk and uncertainties. Next one is backup management. That is also equally important. No doubt farm operator is a full-time worker and is going to play that triple role. He is the owner, he is the investor, he is the worker. Alva? Now double role, triple role. Yes, farmer is the worker, owner, and the manager. But for any reason, if he has to stay away from following for a certain period, his absence will be definitely felt there in running the farm business by children or the spouse. So keeping this in view, farmer has to involve his wife or the children also in the business whenever possible, so that even in his absence, business can be run smoothly. That means having that backup management. You can imagine what you call an extra, what you call the wheel or the tire with any vehicle. Whenever something goes wrong with a single wheel, you can use that stepney and continue your journey. Like that also, here backup management in farm business is another important what you call the thing that helps to face any kind of the risk and uncertainty. So this completes the fourth, what you call that, type or the categories of the farm financial decisions. And the last one is the decisions on the legal problems. So legal aspects relating to the acquisition, management, and transfer of the capital are studied in this particular section. So we shall examine further the legal and other constraints associated with the different methods of resource use, like that of sharing irrigation water from wells or the canals, or disputes over the field bonds, etc., etc. They are going to be given importance, or the here farmer need to make such decisions so that he can manage the farm successfully from the viewpoint of management of the finance. So these are the 5 important the farm financial decisions that one will come across in successful management of the farm business. So before concluding today's class, let us look at those characters of these farm financial decisions. So there are 5 farm financial decisions. Again, there may be other categories, but these are the 5 important farm financial decisions. They are being possessing certain specific or the peculiar characters. First one is frequency. That means some decisions are very, very frequent, and some are very, very, what you call, the long term in nature. So some decisions should occur once or twice in a year, like decisions on choice of the crops to be raised, or rearing up number and types of the livestock in a year. Whereas some of the decisions are more frequent in their occurrence, and in fact very little time is left to execute such decisions, like that of expenditure in a day on feed, labor, and other routine activities. So they are less frequent, they are more frequent and less cost, whereas some decisions which are less frequent but involves more cost. So managers should be very careful about the errors that creep in executing such decisions. So here the thumb rule is they must keep in mind, so that his business will not suffer. So frequency is the first and the foremost important character of any decision. Second one is importance. So importance should be gauged in terms of the profit or the loss or the time associated with particular decision. So some may be less important, you can postpone the decision, whereas some decisions are very, very important. You need to take decision on time. Less time is available. Within a short notice, you have to make certain decisions. So the careful analysis is necessary to examine the possible alternative decisions through what you call that budgeting that you are going to study in another course. So the another character of this farm financial decision is imminence. So imminent decisions are those needs to be taken up very soon. So there will be some occasions for managers to take decisions inevitably to avoid the losses. Say for example, In case of investment on a plant, production measures to avoid and control the incidence of pests and disease needs to be taken very quickly, because a delay by making a decision to spray the plant production chemicals, all the crops might have been damaged and it might have spread to other parts of the field. That is why here imminency needs to be also what you call the important criterion. So the time and expected loss are the main criterion to classify the decision whether it is imminent or it can be deferred. Then revocability. That means sometimes there will be need on part of the farm manager to alter the present decision and adopt altogether a new decision in its place. Say, for example, suppose the manager realizes that spending on a particular brand of pesticide is futile, which is not so effective, then he can take the decision of purchasing new brand of chemicals having some potentiality to control the pest. So, such characteristic feature of the changing decisions are reversing the decisions is called as revocability. So, in any situation, very little time is left for the manager to alter the decisions for avoiding the loss. So he needs to be act quickly in the available time. However, some decisions are not revocable, or they can only be changed at the very high cost. Say, for example, decision in sinking a well or constructing a new farm building. So which requires huge investment. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟೋದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಬಾರ್ಡರ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಪಾಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಪ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಡೌನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಟು ಪಂಪ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಟು ಇರಿಗೇಟ್ ಅದರ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಸ್, isn't it? So if such decisions once executed cannot be easily reversed. So for that you have to be very careful even taking or before taking the decision. Such non-reversible decisions need sufficient time and thought on part of the farmer. So last point is for the class number of alternative decisions available. So some decisions are very having very limited what you call the options, while some have many more options. So if alternatives are many, then definitely for executing a given situation, it is not a very easy task. So more time should be spent in analyzing and selecting the best alternative among the different what you call the things or the decisions that needs to be made. So whenever there are restricted or limited alternatives, it is relatively easy for the manager to exercise. There option ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅದಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೇನೆ. If it is not having what you call the sufficient number of alternatives, then not much time is needed on part of the farm manager to execute the decision. But problem arises only when he is having number of alternatives. So this is what I want to cover for the today's class. If you are having any doubts, kindly unmute your mic and discuss, or you can also send in the chat box. So we have discussed about the need for agriculture finance, farm financial decisions, and the characteristic features of the farm financial decisions. So in our next class, we are going to discuss about to which broad categories we can put them these farm financial decisions and what are the steps. Then we shall continue our discussion on the credit, its classification, the agencies, advantages, disadvantages in the coming classes. So friends, if you are having any doubts, unmute your mic and ask questions. If not, shall I ask? ಇದೀರಾ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ? Don't waste time here and there, just simply joining for the class and attending some other work. Both will not be effective. ಇದು ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಏನು ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. So whenever you are having class, kindly, it is an sincere advice for you people, attend honestly and participate actively in the class whenever you are having any doubts. We can also raise any of the related topics for the discussion in the class relating to the concepts which have been listed for that particular class. Envilra, I'm also not receiving any questions in the chat box too. Okay, if not, okay, there is a question. Thank you. Litigation, sir, can you please tell this? Okay, PODSCORP means, as I mentioned, it is an acronym or a short form used to indicate the different functions of the management. Management is an universal subject. Since we are dealing in this course with the finance, so financial management, if you are dealing with some production management, human resource management, marketing management, say class management, time management. So management is a universal activity. So it is having what you call the different functions to be performed. So those functions can be easily remembered using this term PODSCORP. POD means POD, planning, organizing, directing, staffing, coordination, recruitment, budgeting, staffing, communication, motivation, like that. There will be another what you call the list of what you call the various activities that any manager needs to perform so as to succeed in his what you call the endeavor or the activity. Okay, that is only an acronym for the remembering the different functions of management. Okay, PODSCORP. Then litigation means any kind of jagala anta ಹೇಳ್ತಲ್ವಾ. Say for example, if I being a farmer, if I purchased the land from person X last year, but X may be having some legal heirs, his brothers, sisters, or parents, or some things, without clearing all the what you call the dues or what you call ಬೋಜ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವು ಏನು ಮಾಡದೇನೆ if you are what you call purchasing that land and continuing or cultivation, in that case definitely there may be problem and misunderstanding with those people. So that is why any kind of what you call the litigations that may arise in successful management of the farm, maybe with respect to sharing of the bonds, maybe with respect to leaving runoff water in our field so that our fertile topsoil can be just taken away by this heavy runoff, and our land may become less fertile, or like this, or two big trees on the bunds of the neighboring farmer may be just taking all the water from our field and the nutrients from our neighboring field. Or if I am involved in some, say, rearing up mulberry and the silk cocoon, what you call the production, by cultivating mulberry, if neighboring farmer is involved in cultivation of the cultivation of the some highly what you call the pesticide demanding vegetables like cauliflower, cabbage, then no doubt he is going to spray his field with to protect his crop from the disease of the pest infestation. But if something goes and drift on what you call the our mulberry leaves, then if I feed these leaves to silk cocoon, the health of these cocoons or the silkworms is going to be adversely affected, and I'm going to incur the loss. Okay. So that is why here such kind of what you call the any issues that may come across, that is called as the litigation. ಜಗಳಗಳು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾವಲ್ವಾ, those things. So again, with respect to this financial management also, there are different decisions needs to be made with respect to this kind of any legal issues, litigations. Okay. Thank you, Gavi Siddesh. You mentioned about the attendance for the class, and kindly share me later. Okay, next, any questions? Okay, Chandrika. Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, is the farmer get the insurance amount if he losses due to lack of it? Yes, definitely. That is what the main intention of this crop insurance is, mainly to protect or stabilize the farm income, not to pay 100%. But here, that quantum of compensation calculation, there are there is well set down pressure formality. They are going to take the average yield for past about 9 years, that to normal years, and they are going to estimate the yield on the farm during the current year, take the difference, multiply with the prevailing market price, and then they are going to pay that value as a compensation to the farmer whenever he is not going to receive any yield. Even for under production or lower yield also, farmers are going to get the compensation. So that is the advantage of going for crop insurance. Okay, Chaitra, am I clear? So you are going to study in detail about this later as the course advances. In 1 or 1.5 hours, there is a separate chapter on this crop insurance.
Thanks.
Thank you, friends. You may be having another class from 3 to 4. If not, we can enjoy, because I am having again some other work to attend. Let us come with some interesting questions for the next class on Wednesday, 9:30 to 10:30. Okay, bye. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Record.